agenda as world leaders, including President Buhari, meet in Jordan. President Buhari reiterated his promise on governance, taking the front seat in his administration. Plus, Buhari Media Organization describes as untrue the global report on food crisis affecting some countries, including Nigeria. Hello and welcome. This is Panorama on the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Ian Ray John. And now the details. Ahead of the World Economic Forum on the Middle East and North Africa holding at the Dead Sea, President Muhammadu Buhari is in Amman, the Jordanian capital. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president, who is a special invitee of the Jordanian king, Abdullah bin al-Hussein, was accorded a befitting reception on arrival.
President Muhammadu Buhari arrived Queen Alia International Airport, Amman, at 11:45 Thursday evening local time. On hand to receive him was a high-powered Jordanian government delegation, as well as the Nigerian ambassador to Jordan. There were also ministers of foreign affairs and interior, the national security advisor, and other senior government officials. While in Jordan, President Buhari is expected to deliver an address at the opening of the World Economic Forum on the Middle East and North Africa on Saturday at the Dead Sea, alongside the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The president, accompanied by Governor Badaru Abubakar of Jigawa State, will thereafter join other world economic leaders at the plenary session of the event.
I think it's highly significant for our country, the fact that our president has been invited to present a keynote address shows that he's doing something that the world has noticed. The world knows where he met the Nigerian economy and where the economy is now and where he is taking it to. So if he didn't have something to say, something to contribute, they wouldn't have invited him. So the fact that they invited him to present a keynote address at a forum like this is very significant for Nigeria, significant for our president as a person, and then significant for all Nigerians in that we can be very proud of our president.
During the four-day visit, the Nigerian leader is scheduled to hold bilateral meetings with some world leaders on the sidelines of the Economic Forum.
You know, the president has three messages he tells the world. One is, join us to secure Nigeria. Two, help us to work on our economy, to revive it, come and invest in Nigeria. You will get a good return on your investment. And then three, he will tell them, join us to fight corruption. Let's team up and make corruption anathema, not just in our country, but in all countries of the world.
President Buhari will depart Amman on Sunday for Dubai, United Arab Emirates, to participate in the 9th edition of the annual investment meeting beginning on the 8th of this month. From Amman, Jordan, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has kept his promise that governance would not take the back seat in spite of his busy campaigns leading to the 2019 presidential election. With major activities and achievements recorded during the campaign period, the presidency notes with delight the non-disruption of projects.
In keeping with the promise by President Muhammadu Buhari that governance would not take the back seat in spite of his busy campaign schedules to all the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory leading to the presidential election on February 23, 2019, below are artifacts of promise kept. On January 9, 2019, President Buhari inaugurated the Presidential Technical Advisory Committee on the implementation of the national minimum wage to advise the federal government on how best to fund in a sustained manner the additional cost of implementing the imminent increase in the national minimum wage. The committee, chaired by Mr. Bismarck Rewani, submitted its report on Monday, the 25th of March 2019. Also in January 2019, President Buhari submitted a national minimum wage amendment bill to the National Assembly for passage, following the approval of the National Council of State. The bill is now awaiting presidential assent. January 23, 2019, the Strategic Revenue Growth Initiatives of the federal government was launched by the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, in Abuja on three main planks, namely achieving sustainability in revenue generation, identifying new and enhancing the enforcement of existing revenue streams, achieving cohesion in the revenue ecosystem. The President signed Executive Order 007 of 2019 on the Road Infrastructure Development and Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme. Election season did not halt or negatively affect ongoing federal government construction projects across the country. Various projects are currently proceeding. Simply prioritized the completion of critical ongoing projects over the introduction of new ones. The National Bureau of Statistics released figures for the fourth quarter of 2018 economic growth, which is 2.3%, and for the full year of 2018, which is 1.93%, more than double the full year 2017 growth rate of 0.82%. This growth in the fourth quarter of 2018, as well as for the full year, owed a great deal to the performance of the non-oil sector.
In other news, the federal government is desirous of leveraging on the potency of information and communication technology and driving its economic recovery and growth plan. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Grace Isu-Gekwe, stated this in a message at the opening of an ICT capacity building program in Abuja. Anthony Forson brings us details.
The capacity building program, which is in collaboration with the European Union's support for federal government reforms project, is designed for officers of federal agencies responsible for policy planning, revenue generation, performance monitoring, and development of statistics. Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Deaconess Grace Isu-Gekwe, who was represented by the Director of ICT in the ministry, Comfort Ajiboye, restated the need for the training, which is in line with the federal government's desire to grow the economy.
It is worthy of note that information and communication technology has systematically transformed the social awareness of Nigerians in line with global best practices. Nigeria, like most developing nations, have come to recognize the importance of information and communication technology as a catalyst for sustainable socio-economic development.
Team leader of the EU Sofago project, Professor Olaseni Bello, enumerated the importance of the training given the global acceptance of ICT in all endeavors.
Because basic ICT is essential for human organization development, for human capital development, for even improving process delivery, service delivery and management information system. And I'm sure that it will be very particularly useful for your ministry because we are in an information ICT age.
This program cannot move on without the engagement of the government and of the different ministries involved, and I have to say that you've been an example of collaborating partner.
The program is targeted at specific federal government ministries. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And now talking security, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, has restated the commitment of the armed forces in ensuring security of citizens and protecting the nation's territorial integrity. He, however, suggested an alternative funding pocket separate from the envelope budgeting method now in use to improve access to appropriated SAMs. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the Army Chief said this at the Budget Defense before the House of Representatives Committee on Army.
Security of lives and property in Nigeria, especially in view of security challenges being experienced in parts of the country, require a proactive approach to be tackled effectively. This, the Army General believes, could be achieved through improved funding.
The Nigerian Army has expanded from 5 divisions to 8 divisions and is currently engaged in war against the insurgency in the northeast and other criminal elements in the northwest and indeed in the north central. In preparing the 2019 budget, the Nigerian Army is requesting for the sum of 472.8 billion naira only. However, the Ministry of Budget and National Planning proposed the total sum of 232.4 billion naira only.
Chairman of the House Committee on Army, Representative Rimandi Shaulu, expressed readiness of the committee to ensure that the Army is adequately funded to secure the lives of citizens. In the meantime, the House of Representatives Committee on Public Procurement has, while interacting with the Bureau of Public Procurement on the agency's budget performance for 2018 in proposals for 2019, directed it to reconcile figures in the budget document after noticing some discrepancies.
Some projects were abandoned, some projects were not attended to, and so I want to know the basis. I want to know the, for adopting your method of expenditure.
The committee wants to, among other issues, know how the Bureau arrived at more than 419 million as capital expenditure for 2019. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Development of the culture industry is imperative in view of numerous social and economic benefits therein. The House of Representatives Committee on Culture came to this agreement with the National Council for Arts and Culture when the Director General Otumba Olusegun Roshewe appeared for budget defense. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali again reports.
Appreciating the support of the House of Representatives Committee on Culture in ensuring that the National Council for Arts and Culture is adequately funded, the Director General Otumba Olusegun Roshewe said Nigeria's rich and diverse culture could be used to generate revenue as culture and tourism are interwoven.
The reason why so many countries are having good IGR, because they remit money back to government for tax, etc. So whatever we remit there is to build a better Nigeria.
He believes that cultural activities should be encouraged to foster unity and development. The committee commended the Council for judicious use of resources as seen from its budget performance in preceding years.
I remember, if you go back to First Tax 77, you will see, you will remember what National Theatre, that edifice, the role it played for us as a people.
Other agencies that appeared before the Culture Committee include Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization and the National Theatre. In another development, the Senate and House of Representatives Committee on Women Affairs, during an interface with the Minister of Women Affairs, urged the ministry to have its impact felt, especially among women.
Without a zonal intervention to your center or your agency, I think you almost have a zero budget.
If we can't defend the budget, the appropriation committee can say, okay, let us take the decision ourselves. And that decision, you never know what they will do.
The committee also directed the National Center for Women Development to adopt and put into use the correct template for presentation of budget performance and proposals. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And away from budget defense now, heading straight to Ondo State, unknown gunmen suspected to be armed robbers shot dead the bossa of the Akure Diocese of Anglican Communion, Mr. Gabriel Abiodun. The deceased was killed in his office shortly after returning from a bank, and the 500,000 naira belonging to the church was taken by the assailants. Wasira reports that the Ondo State Police Command has given an assurance to fish out the killers.
When NTA News visited the scene of the incidents, sympathizers were seen in sad mood as they mourned the death of the late bossa of the Akure Anglican Diocese, who was murdered in his office about 9:30 in the morning.
They came with a Toyota Corolla car and they shot they told one of the security to keep quiet and disarm the man. And they went in and they took the money from him and they shot him.
The police public relations officer in Ondo State said investigations has begun and vowed that the perpetrators will be apprehended in no distant time.
The suspect trailed him from the bank back to his office. They forced him to surrender the money. In the ensuing melee, the man was shot, his two legs. So before he could be rushed to the hospital, we lost him. Now we have embarked on a manhunt.
The police PRO urged members of the public to be security conscious and inform the police when conveying large amounts of money. In the meantime, the police in the state has paraded a notorious kidnapper, Wakili Ismaila, who is said to have participated in a number of kidnapping for ransom in Akoko and Kabahasis. In Akure, Wasiu Rauf, NTA News.
This is Panorama live on the network service of the NTA. Time to take a breather. Panorama returns in a bit.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Good to have you back. And now heading to the courts, the Federal High Court sitting in Warri Delta State has upheld the candidacy of Senator Ovie Omoagege and other candidates of the All Progressives Congress in Delta State. Tessie Kuka reports.
The presiding judge, Justice Emeka Ewete, in his judgment delivered Tuesday, struck out the suit filed by the plaintiff Olorogun Otega-Emero, challenging the validity of the primary election that produced Senator Ovie Omoagege.
A landmark judgment. The court has again affirmed the position of the Supreme Court to say that persons who are not joined as parties to a suit are not bound by any judgment given by that court. And today the court also said that the suit filed by Otega-Emero is incompetent, and such it was struck out. The court went further to also say that Omoagege primary election remains the valid and legitimate primary.
The report of INEC shows that it was Senator Ovie Omoagege that won the primaries conducted by the National Working Committee of the APC on behalf of the National Executive of the APC.
The counsel to the APC, Lucky Akpoweri, described the court verdict as a landmark for the party and all the candidates that emerged legitimately through the primaries conducted by the APC. Meanwhile, counsel to Olorogun Otega-Emero, Mr. Igbokwe, reacted to the judgment.
He does not want to counter or contradict the judgment of his learned brother in Asaba. And I believe that you must have had the judgment in Asaba. Yes. And that supersedes this one.
By this verdict, Senator Ovie Omoagege stands elected senator representing the Delta Central at the upper chamber until an appeal is filed by the plaintiff. It will be recalled that the Federal High Court Asaba, headed by Justice Toyin Adegoke, declared the candidates that emerged from the primaries conducted by the Ogodo Emiro-led executive as the authentic APC candidates for the 2019 general elections. Tessie Koka, NTA News.
And staying with Delta State, the Federal High Court in Abuja has annulled the election of Peter Nwabushi as the senator-elect for Delta North Senatorial District. Justice Ahmed Mohammed gave the order in a case instituted by Ned Nwoko against the People's Democratic Party and his candidacy. Ola Bode Arewa has details.
Leaving his judgment, Justice Ahmed Mohammed held that Peter Nwabushi did not win the People's Democratic Party primary for Delta North, held on the 2nd of October 2018. The plaintiff, Ned Nwoko, approached the court seeking to be recognized as the rightful candidate, having polled majority of the lawful votes cast during the primary election. Ned Nwoko argued that he scored 453 votes to defeat Peter Nwabushi, who scored 405 votes. To his surprise, the PDP jettisoned the results and forwarded Nwabushi's name as his candidate for the senatorial district. Peter Nwabushi said Nwoko's case was deficient since it was not filed within the 14 days provided for by the law. The judge observed that the PDP erred by failing to produce ballot papers used for the election when ordered to do so. Justice Mohammed subsequently ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to publish the name of Ned Nwoko as the PDP candidate. The Independent National Electoral Commission, the PDP, and Senator Nwabushi were respondents in the matter. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
And away from the courts now, the President Muhammadu Buhari joined all members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in felicitating with the party chairman, Comrade Adams Oshomole, on his 67th birthday, congratulating him for providing purposeful, courageous and tenacious leadership. In a statement by the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, President Buhari affirms that Comrade Oshomole, after many years of serving as a labor leader, brought a new dynamism into the collective effort to make democracy and development more inclusive in the country, recognizing his vibrant relationship with Nigerian workers and ordinary people. The president believes, as the chairman of the APC, the strides recorded in the last elections across the country clearly testify to Oshomole's visionary and vibrant leadership, commending his effort at building a strong and unified party that is focused on strengthening internal democracy and developing the country. While rejoicing with family members, friends and political associates of the APC chairman on the milestone, President Buhari describes him as a man of conviction who stands resolutely by whatever he believes in. The president prays that the Almighty God will grant the party chairman longer life, good health and wisdom in serving the country and its citizens. Moving on, the Oba of Benin, Oba Ewai II, has congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo for their victory in the recently concluded presidential election. In a statement by the Secretary, Benin Traditional Council, Frank Irabo, the Oba also extends his wishes to winners in the National State Assembly and gubernatorial elections. The statement commiserates with the families of those who lost their lives and property in the electoral process and commends INEC for ensuring free and fair elections. The Buhari Media Organization has described as totally untrue and unverifiable the global report on food crisis affecting some countries, including Nigeria. A statement by the chairman of the group, Niya Kenshiju, says the report released by United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization is untenable, bearing in mind that under the Buhari's administration there has been an increase in agricultural activities leading to sufficiency in food production and availability. According to the group, there has been deliberate measures taken by the federal government to ensure adequate food for the victims of the Boko Haram insurgency due to the intervention by different agencies cooperating with the federal government in ensuring adequate food for the people in the war-affected areas. The group maintains that it runs contrary to reason that an organization like the United Nations or any of its agencies would lump Nigeria with countries like Yemen, Syria and Afghanistan, where there are full-blown wars. It's now time to talk sports. Details at with Ayodeji Makinde. Do stay with us.
Nigeria moved 4 steps to 42nd position in the world and 3rd in Africa in the monthly FIFA ranking for April released on Thursday. The Super Eagles sit behind the continent's top-ranked teams, Senegal and Tunisia. Meanwhile, Belgium is still the best in the world as European teams dominate the top 10 spots. The need for the development of chess in primary and secondary schools in the Federal Capital Territory as a means of strengthening mental alertness and strategic brilliance in students was the thrust of the 9th Abuja Inter-School Competition at the Olumawu schools, where Carryfield Primary School and Government Secondary School Kubwa came out tops in the junior and senior categories.
Chess has actually helped me a lot in calculations and helped me in my subjects in school.
The whole idea began really with the effort at winning our youth from their preoccupation with nothing but social media and gaming.
With just 5 days to the tee-off of the West and Central Africa Challenge Trophy at the Ikeja Golf Course in Lagos State, President, Ladies Golf Association of Nigeria, Ekanem Ekweme, says the country is ready to host at least 10 registered countries from the sub-regions from the 9th to 14th April.
We didn't just choose who to play. We took the best 3 to play. And then, of course, we have the junior girl who is going to be a reserve. And we'll definitely make Nigeria proud.
Nigeria finished 4th at the 2017 edition of the championship in Equatorial Guinea. With sports updates, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
Many thanks, Ayodeji, for that update. And that's our package and panorama today. Many thanks for being a part of it. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority.